April baseball on deck right here for the early line. Sirius XM channel 159 on the SportsGrid network. It's Davis and Donnie. We spent a lot of time going over action for the NBA and also going over some other topics here. But now we flip it over to Major League Baseball. Today, by the way, there is a 1 o'clock game we're going to get to between Oakland and New York. But the game we're going to focus on right now, Milwaukee and Pittsburgh. That's Ross versus Jones. The FanDuel Sportsbook opened up this line overnight at a minus 130 price as a favorite towards Pittsburgh. Currently sitting right now at a minus 142 price. And a total overnight was at 8, now down to 7.5. Two pitchers here in decent form to start the season here tonight, Davis, in this game between the Brew Crew and the Bucks.
Yeah, but are we going to see more than 59 pitches out of one Mr. Jared Jones? That's how many pitches that he got into his last start. I don't exactly know why that is, because in his starts before that, he was able to go into that 80, 85 range that you would expect from a younger pitcher. I probably would be on the over here on 7.5. I'm not really a believer in Joe Ross actually at all. His K number is 5.5. I would be on the under on that as well. Now, if you told me that I was getting 6 innings, even 5 innings of Jared Jones, I might actually would be tempted on over 6.5 strikeouts for him. But we've got a pretty long history of Joe Ross being a below league average or right at league average starting pitcher. He's been pitching in the major leagues since 2015, mostly for the Nationals. Actually has not pitched in the last has not pitched in the major league since 2021. I like this Pirates lineup. I think they've been one of the surprises of the young season. They've moved O'Neal Cruz up. He hasn't been striking out, 1 billion% of the time. So I'm a little interested. Obviously, we've got some cold, wet, windy, Midwestern weather here that is impacting this one. But I do like the over on 7.5 runs here.
Yeah, it'd be about mid-50s during that game. Light wind blowing out to center field, but we're still waiting for that hitting weather to creep in. And again, here in the Northeast, we're on that. It hasn't been too pleasant over the past week to week and a half. We'll see if that changes up sooner than later, because that does help those hitting statistics here. Let's go over to Tampa Bay, where we're not going to have to worry about any weather conditions, but typically runs to be scored, usually a little bit harder down there at the Trop. Skubal, the lefty, is going to be on the mound for the Tigers, going up against Zach Littell, who is a right-handed pitcher. If we look at the overnight line, slight favorite here towards Detroit at a minus 112 price. But now we're at a de facto pick 'em on both sides. Minus 108 each way in a total that's listed at 7.5. Skubal, Littell, who's going to get the best of each other in this game between the Tigers and the Rays?
Yeah, look, Tarek Skubal has been awesome. He is a legitimate AL Cy Young Award nominee. I believe he's second in the odds to win that award right now. But the Detroit Tigers, they were a fashionable pick to win the division, a fashionable pick to, end up making a run in the postseason. And guess what? They still stink. Carson Kelly can't hit. Torkelson can't hit. Colt Keith can't hit. Javi Baez is pretty much the worst player in Major League Baseball who is playing every single day. Gio Urshela is on the IL. He can't hit. Parker Meadows can't hit. Matt Vierling can't hit. Zach McKinstry can't hit. None of these guys can hit. And you can't build an entire team out of like 3 above average starters, which they do have. Flaherty has been all right. Skubal, Mize, and Reese Olson have all been fine. We'll see what ends up happening. Kenta Maeda has been bad to start the year. We expect him to regress to normal. I'm all over. I am all over the Rays in this spot. It just feels like if you give me a pick 'em and most of the line is about the Tigers starting pitcher being the better half, I mean, yeah, you still got to score runs to win a game. And I'm just shorting the Tigers. Like pretty much every time we talk about the Tigers on this show or on Pharrell Coast to Coast, I'm going the other way because they can't hit, Donnie. They cannot hit the baseball.
Can't hit, you cannot win here. Let's get up to the Bronx for a 105 start this afternoon. Day baseball here. Oakland versus New York. That Sears, the lefty, will be on the mound for the Oakland Athletics, and then Carlos Rodon, the left-handed pitcher for the New York Yankees. This overnight line was a minus 260 price in favor of the Yankees. Down slightly here at a minus 255 live number, but a total that opened up at 8 overnight as a total. That's still sitting at 8 across the board. Are we paying these crazy prices for the Yankees today in the Bronx?
Yeah, look, I'm not betting minus 245 money lines in April. That's just sort of a philosophical thing that I'm just not going to do in the baseball market. But there probably is some money to be made on Rodon stuff, assuming that he is able to, come back to something like his 2022 health. he's not striking anyone out this year. He's only got a 20% K rate. That's far and away the lowest number of his career. He's also walking a ton of guys, 12% walk rate this year compared to a career 9% walk rate. But what leads me to believe that he is probably getting closer to health and getting closer to his San Francisco Giants ability is he's only allowed a 37% hard hit rate. He's not allowing any line drives. He is getting, good distribution between ground balls and fly balls, much closer to what he did when he was a Giant and when he was a White Sox. I think he's probably going to get better results moving forward than he has gotten thus far. So if you wanted to bet, over on K props or Yankees first 5 or something like that, that would make a little bit of sense. But yeah, we're not paying minus 250 here on the early line in April baseball games. I'm not giving that out.
High number there, low number here on the West Coast. That's rotation number 971, 972, 938 first pitch. That's between the Orioles and the Angels. Suarez will be on the mound for Baltimore. You take a look at Detmers, the lefty, on the mound for the Angels. Overnight price, minus 116 as a favorite towards L.A. That's actually a little bit higher now at a minus 118 price and a total across the board that sits at 8.5. Are we looking at runs on the West Coast, or can these pitchers stay in form in 2024?
No, we are all over the Baltimore Orioles here. I just get like the opposite of the Tigers. I'm on the Orioles every single day. I'm against the Tigers every single day. The Orioles lineup is too good, and their lineup is too good even with Jackson Holiday. Gets called up. Dude, he has been brutal. He has struck out in 50% of his plate appearances. He's only taken 2 walks since getting called up. I have a feeling that he's going to end up getting sent back down for a little bit more seasoning in AAA. No big deal, though. If you just pretend that Colton Cowser is Jackson Holiday and Jackson Holiday is Colton Cowser, then, the grand plan for the Baltimore Orioles is all making sense.
A lot of good Major League Baseball here on a Monday. We'll keep those previews going next. But also, we just got done talking about Baltimore and Los Angeles. Mike Trout watch. Should we watch any sooner here? Is he going to have an MVP-type season? Will he even be in an Angels uniform by the time we play September baseball? Maybe that's the best thing to look forward to if you're an Angels backer this year. Goodness, what happened to that franchise? Let's talk more Major League Baseball coming up next, right here on the Early Line. Major League Baseball tonight, live from Kansas City. Davis certainly going to be up late for this one tonight. 7:40 start. We'll get right into it. Kikuchi, the left-handed pitcher, will be on the mound against Brady Singer, the righty, for Kansas City. Overnight, slight favorite here towards Toronto, which is now shown a little bit higher at a minus 118 price point. A total that opened up at 8.5, now seeing 9 here. Kansas City with Singer on the mound versus Kikuchi in Toronto. Who are we leaning towards in this game here, Davis?
Oh, come on. We're doing Kansas City Royals baseball here. 13-9. They are hitting the leather off the ball. No, they're not. I mean, they've got some guys who are all right. Perez is having a great season. My guy, Vinny P, is off to a hot fire start. Bobby Witt Jr. looking like he is worth every dollar of that 12-year contract. Not so sure about having Maikel Garcia continuing to lead off every day. I'm hoping that we are going to get to the end of the Kyle Isbell experience. They probably will have a hard time with Yusei Kikuchi because he is so good at throwing his off-speed pitches for strikes. It's something that has a lot of major league teams in a real riddle when they face him. The teams that tend to do well against Kikuchi are fly ball hitting teams, which the Kansas City Royals are not. Kikuchi has only allowed 1 home run this year. That is a huge reversion to the mean from his career, where his fly ball to home run ratio has always been above league average, because when teams are able to square him up, they're really able to square him up. But he is off to really like kind of the best 4-game stretch of his career. This is a guy with a career 4.63 ERA who's down, in the low 2s right now. But I'm betting on my boys. I'm betting on the Royals right now. They're in a good run. And I mean, the Blue Jays, you want to talk about a team that is so disappointing, the peak of the Bichette Vlad era. They are so far away from that. Like, Vlad, what is his deal? Why does he just insist on hitting every ball directly into the ground? Like, does his dad not taught him that the ball is supposed to go up in the air, not down into the ground? It is one of the most mystifying things. He has that crazy 2021 season, and then it's just been nowhere close to that for the remainder of his career.
Need to get that launch angle back in his swing here. By the way, in this game between Toronto and Kansas City, 71 degrees at first pitch tonight with 18-mile-an-hour winds blowing out to center field. So maybe some baseballs will be landing in the fountains tonight. So we'll see what happens in that one. But again, lining that game up. Should be a close one tonight. We'll see if Singer has the edge over Kikuchi. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Philadelphia Phillies on the road after a successful homestand going 8-2. They're now going to take on the Reds. Ranger Suarez has been really good as a left-handed pitcher this year for the Philadelphia Phillies going up against Hunter Green. The total in this game opened up at 8.5, still staying at 8.5, but a slight favorite for the Phillies at minus 118 has now been risen to minus 122. Phillies Reds here.
Phillies Reds, the Hunter Green experience, look, it's definitely not for the faint of heart. He's definitely going to strike out 6 to 10 guys every single start. Might come with 7 earned runs, might come with 2 earned runs, might come with 3 home runs allowed, might come with no home runs allowed. He's one of these young guys who really is more of a thrower than a pitcher. He's got a lot of, he's a very young guy. He's just turned 24, so he's got a lot of time left to figure it out. I think he probably is a relatively bad matchup for the Philadelphia Phillies because they want to be up against guys who are more extreme fly ballers. No real opinion here on either side. I would probably lean the under, though. It just feels like more of a pitcher's game than a hitter's game.
Let's welcome back Bryce Elder here for the Braves going up against Miami and Ryan Weathers, the left-handed pitcher. Heavy favorite today in the Big A, a minus 205 price sitting here for Atlanta and a total that's listed at 9.5. So we are expecting runs in this equation. Cool temperatures down there in Atlanta today, 60 degrees with a slight wind blowing out. Easy victory for those Braves, and those Braves bats certainly come alive today.
Yeah, I just said I'm not laying minus 250 in an April baseball game. might lay minus 205 here. The Miami Marlins, poor Craig Mish, got to cover this team. They stink. Ryan Weathers is walking, every guy he faces. Now, Bryce Elder has been no great shakes either. The issue with the Braves has been on the pitching side, though, not so much on the hitting side. I'd probably lean slight over here as a play.
By the way, Mets and the Giants out on the West Coast tonight, so the Mets will stay out there. It's going to be Quintana versus Wynn. Roughly a pick 'em here, minus 118, minus 110, depending on where you're shopping at, and a total listed at 8.5. Any expectations tonight quickly on the Mets and the Giants?
I always root for the Mets when it's a game of no consequence to me because I know all my friends here at SportsGrid are big on the New York Metropolitans. Let's see Lindor get some hits.
You want to talk some hockey? You came to the right place, people, on a Monday morning. Look, man, we're handicapping Major League Baseball, NFL Draft, NBA playoffs, and now some hockey talk coming up next year on the Early Line.